Hello everyone, especially to our very own beautiful instructor, Mrs. Gina. So we are the group 2 presenter. Given topic is introduce all the fingerprint patterns, which highlights the component parts of fingerprint patterns, which is the ridge formation, ridge characteristics, focal points, and the three main group of fingerprint patterns, which is the arch, loop, and whorl. So the first one is the fingerprint pattern. Pattern area. The area surrounded by the type lines where the core, delta, and ridges are located. So based sa atong illustration, pattern area daw kay surrounded sa type lines. So ang type lines is kanang red lines. So ang pattern area is nasa sud sa type lines. So the next is the type lines. Two innermost ridges that run parallel or nearly parallel to each other then diverge and tend to surround the pattern area. So sa akong giingon, ang type lines is kanang red nga line na sa atong illustration, which is ga-cover or ga-surround sa atong pattern area. So the next is the two focal points of fingerprint patterns. So which is the delta and core. Delta is the point of ridge at or in front of the nearest the center of the divergence of the type line. So the core is the approximate center of the fingerprint impression. So based sa illustration, makita ang two focal points where na-locate silang duha. So here are the classification of the deltas. Number 1 is a bifurcation. Number 2 is a ending ridge. Number 3 is a dot. Number 4 a short ridge. Number 5 is a recurving ridge. Number 6 a mating of two ridges. The area to be considered is at or directly in front of the point of divergence of two lines. Next is the fingerprint patterns frequency. So they are the three main group of the fingerprint patterns. So as you can see, the frequency is the highest is the loops, the second one is the whorl, and the third one is the arch or arches. So refers to the general formation of the ridges found within the pattern area. This fingerprint pattern is very essential in fingerprint classification. So the under of arch is the plain arch, and the second one is the tinted arch, and then the under of the loop is the radial loop and ulnar loop, and then the under of whorl is plain whorl, central pocket loop, double loop, and then the last one is the accidental whorl. Loops pattern in which one or more of the ridges enter at either side of the impression, recurve, touch or pass an imaginary line drawn from the delta to the core and terminate or tend to terminate on or toward the same side of the impression from which such ridge or ridge enter. The three classification of loops are a sufficient recurve, a delta and core must represent a ridge count across a looping ridge. So radial loop flows toward the thumb or radius bone. So makita raman sa illustration na ang unsay porma sa radial loop. And then ulnar loops flows toward the little finger or ulna bone. So nakita man ninyo ang pangkalahian sa radial o ulnar. So next is the arches or arch, made up of ridges lying above the other and general arching formation. Ridge flow from one side to other side without recurving. Has no delta and core, no ridge counting. So next, the plain arch. Enter from one side, make a rise in the center and exit generally on the opposite side. So next is the tinted arch. Most of the ridges enter upon one side of the impression and flow or tend to flow out upon the other side, as in the plain arch type. However, the ridge or ridges at the center do not. There are three types of tented arches. Number one is 90 degrees or less. Number two, one or more ridges at the center form an up thrust ending ridge horizontally 45 degrees or more. The third one is possessing two of the basic or essential characteristic of the loop but lacking the thirds. So next is whirl, is the type of pattern in which at least two deltas are present with a curve in front of each. So plain whirl pattern consists of one or more free recurving ridges and 2 points of delta. It will bisect at least one of the recurving ridges within the inner pattern area. So the next one is central pocket loop. Consists of one or more free recurving ridges and 2 points of delta. When the line of the fingerprint pattern disk is placed on 2 points of delta, it will fail to bisect any of the ridges belonging to the core groove. Next, double or twin loop. The recurving ridges present two loop formations separate and apart are 2 points of delta. The flow for the deltas originate from the same side of the pattern. So the last one is accidental loop whirl, where the composite pattern is composed of two or more different patterns, separate and apart, exclusive of the arch, exception to plain arches. That's all. Thank you.